Welcome to Ngosi Talk Shows. Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Challenges we have had to overcome in 2020.
Find your own voice.
The world has become united by the unseen, knowing there are no guarantees for tomorrow.
Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Let the world hear your voice and be filled within.
For the day has come for you to be a great leader.
The time has come to break away from the pain, distraction, experience the unthinkable.
Welcome to Ngosi Talk Shows, everyone. If it is your first time at Ngosi Talk Shows, we talk about all different subjects from all walks of life. Please subscribe to our channel, and if you want to follow our coaches, please do follow them on their social media. And if you want to connect with them, and Carol Ann, she's a writing facilitator. If you want to connect with her, please do connect with her. And over to you, Carol Ann. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Lovely. Thank you, Nonsa. And good afternoon from London, UK. And as the writing facilitator, what I do is I support women in becoming more productive with their writing by connecting them with their deeper innate ability to write. But more importantly, they experience free-flowing writing. They experience an unlocking of the writer within and getting their book written. Because you cannot publish what isn't written. And all of this has come about through my own journey of unlocking the writer within. So I'm Carol Ann, the writing facilitator.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carol Ann. So our topic today is how do you deal with the broken expectations? We give up so quickly in life when our expectations are broken, and the marriage that we thought will last for a lifetime, when it doesn't work, we give up. That promotion that we expected to get that promotion. When you don't get it, that means it's a broken expectations. Then you give up. We give up very easy. So what can we do basically to make sure that we deal with the broken expectations? For me, broken expectation is a blessing. It can come as a blessing because when someone tells me that I'm not enough, who is that person that tells me that I'm not enough? They're just someone just like me. Maybe I find them they are I find them having a bad day that day. So I'm gonna basically take all that to receive whatever the energy that comes from that person. Maybe somebody impressed them more than me. It doesn't mean that I'm not good enough. When relationship doesn't work, when somebody has a messed up life and they tell me that actually I don't think we can go ahead with this relationship, and expectations are broken, does it mean that I'm not enough? No, it doesn't. When the business doesn't work out well, doesn't mean you're not enough. It doesn't mean you can't work, basically read and study and hire a good coach and work on your business. Yes, it means you can continue. But when those expectations are broken, what we do, we get into feeling sorry club, and we feel sorry for ourselves. We blame ourselves. We blame people around us. The list goes on. So over to you, Carol Ann. When you saw this topic, what were your thoughts?
Oh, yeah. My thoughts are, well, how do you deal with broken expectations? What do you do when somebody doesn't meet your expectations? And sometimes it was just, what did I think when I saw that? Expectations Sometimes you can it's unreasonable to have expectations because you're expecting something, and when it doesn't happen, there's an emotion attached to it. So you get sad, you get disappointed, you feel let down, when actually all that happened was you had the expectation that something was going to take place. Someone was going to do what you thought they should be doing. And it doesn't always work like that. I remember, when I was married, I kept comparing with what my dad used to do in terms of how good he was with DIY and woodwork and mending things. And my husband wasn't like that. He had his own gifts. He had his own strengths. But I had some expectation that he ought to be like my dad, you know? And so that didn't help the relationship. Even though I didn't actually say anything, but it was inside. So it ate away at me. And energetically, that doesn't help. But there was that expectation. Well, why can't he do it like my dad does it? Well, he's not the same person to start with, you know, and I think that's something we don't realize or think. Everybody is unique. Everybody has their own gifts, their own way of doing things, their own strengths, their own weaknesses. And so it's recognizing that as well. But it is also about communicating. It is having that conversation. And yes, you can have standards, but not necessarily expectations, because standards are just guidelines, aren't they, about what you'll accept. So it's like you're setting some boundaries or some ideas of what you want or what you're thinking, but it's not a steadfast expectation, because an expectation it's like, this is what I want to happen. There's something really sort of strong in that. It's like, no, it's got to be this. And that's where we can then lead ourselves to disappointment, because there's an emotional aspect involved in that. You have the standard, you be a stand for, this is what I want, and you know what I'd like to have happen. So that you take away the emotional element from it. And I remember what came to mind just now as we were talking, this memory of when I first got married. I'd finished teaching training college. I got married straight away, and it was like, I thought I'd get a job, I'd get a teaching post, and I would be sending off all these applications just to get these rejection slips, or not even hear at all. And I love what you said, Nomsa. We give up so quickly, but you can get so disappointed and so let down. And I put in application after application, and it's like, oh, you know, it can stop you, but you need to just keep going. You need to hold that belief and keep going, because you just never know. And although I did let it get to me, and I did find another job, I never stopped dreaming about having a teaching post. And eventually I did get one, but it took a few years before I did get a teaching post. But again, there were several letdowns, you know, applying for them and not getting them, and just hanging on to that. So yeah, you can get, it's an emotional thing about expectations. So what expectations have you got that are actually maybe stopping you from getting where you want to go, because there's an emotional element to it? It has got to happen, and if it doesn't, then yeah. So that's sort of where I've gone with all of this at the moment. I thought it was a great topic, Nomsa, great topic. So
Yeah, thank you so much, Carol. And I like it when you actually talk about your marriage, how your husband, basically, you were comparing your husband with your dad. I did the same too. When I basically go into a relationship, and I was like, when a man tells me off, I'm like, why can't he just be like my father? I don't get told off because my dad, I had two fathers. They both never told me off. They both explained things to me. And when I was in this situation where I get told off, so I'm like, my father doesn't tell me off. Why can't they just be like my dad, loving and caring? And I didn't know that everyone was different. People are only individual. And also, you talk about the standards. You can have standards. Yes, that's fine to have standards than to have expectations. That's why we have our values and beliefs. Then when we have our values and beliefs, we create our standards or principles. For me, I call them principles, how I want to be treated. But at the same time, I don't have expectations for someone to actually do exactly the things that I want, because I know that we are not perfect. People are not perfect. So I have my principles that I put in place regarding people that I hang out with. But when it comes to jobs, when it comes to relationship, when it comes to business, I have to understand that anything can happen. There are gonna be some letdown when it comes to all those things, because I don't have control over the situation. But when my expectations are broken, when those expectations are broken for me, instead of blaming the other person or wishing things could go my way, all I would do is I just pray. All I do is pray and just ask God to actually help me to grow. If there is anything where part of me the way I need to grow, I would just need to grow. If there are bad habits that I have created myself that are basically not helping me to move forward, I look at those habits in my environment where basically I am, and just work on myself, because at the end of the day, you are the author of your story. And with God, God can only write your story if you allow Him to. The universe can only write your own story if you allow the universe to write your story. But if you choose to actually stay in that feeling sorry club because you expect people to behave the same way, like how you expect them to be. For me, basically, I just say no, that we are all human. When things are not gonna go my way, I just receive the news and I deal with it. I sleep on it first. If it's hard, I sleep on it. I get a shock and then I sleep on it, then I deal with it. I basically cannot go into that feel sorry club, because the feeling sorry club, it means I'm broken. Yes, if I'm broken, I have to acknowledge that I'm broken, but at the same time, find a way to heal myself, heal my soul, heal my broken spirit. Over to you, Carol Ann.
I like where you just clarified that, because I was going to say you're not broken. But you said my broken spirit.
Yeah.
So that's like that is a different aspect on that, and that allows you to then move forward rather than saying I'm broken. That means you need fixing. I've got a broken spirit. Well, okay, that can be healed. There's a difference in the way you're thinking there. And so it is about being able to heal that broken spirit, because it's just a feeling of, oh, what do I do now? But I love what you're saying about praying and asking for guidance so that you can grow, because there is then a recognition that there's something to learn from what has happened. And I think that's the important thing to think about here is if something doesn't go the way you're expecting it to, then just stop and go, okay, so what was it I was expecting here? Really get clear on what your expectations were and say, well, actually, were they reasonable or were they unreasonable? Were they something that could actually happen? And just explore that. And then without making yourself wrong for expecting that, just go, okay, so this is what happened. Why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? What meaning have I put to this? Because it hasn't worked out. And so if you can explore that and find out what meaning you've put to it, because very often you put a meaning to it about yourself, that maybe you're not powerful enough to control the situation. You're not powerful to change the other person. You know, who knows? Only you know what lies behind it or what meaning you put to it. But sometimes there is some aspect of that. There's a lack of control there that you're feeling. And so once you can recognize what you've made it mean, let go of that meaning. All that happened is what happened. That's it. And once you can just see it for what it is, ask for the guidance, ask for the learning, that will enable you to let go of it much more easily and move on. Because as just something I read, it's just when you're in that complaining mode, well, this hasn't happened, this is what I was expecting, and it hasn't happened like that, and you're just constantly complaining about it, and you're not actually open to any other possibility. Can you hear and feel the closeness of it? All you can do is complain about, well, that's not what I expected. Once you can let go, get perspective on it, let go, it opens up the space for you to find new possibilities, to hear new opportunities, and to be able to then move forward. You can bring movement back into it again. So it is important to stay open, ask for guidance, and recognize that it is just a lesson there for you to learn so that you can grow. And does it mean that you won't make that mistake again? Maybe, maybe not. But you can learn from it. And maybe you'll make that mistake less and less. So I like what else you said about your values and beliefs. We come back to that again. And I think that's something that really underpins everything. Knowing what your values and beliefs are. Knowing what your thoughts are, what your standards are, what you will or won't tolerate. And it's also understanding other people's as well, because theirs will be different. And then the next important thing, once you've understood yours, the next important thing is communication. Communicating to somebody else, well, these are my values. This is what's important for me. And this is what my standards are. And then listen to the other person. Find out what their values are. What's important to them? Because you'll find that they'll probably be different to yours. You may have the same values in a long list, but they won't be in the same order. Once you put them into an order, what's your top value? What's their top value? If they're not the same, then that's where, again, things can fall apart. So it's been able to have the conversation and recognize each other's values and beliefs, and bring yourself into alignment with it in some way. Accept that other person's values and recognize that they're perhaps not exactly the same as yours, and ask the question, well, how can we work with this? And not expect them to change. There's that word expect. You know, there's that expectation where you're going to fall in line with mine, or you maybe put an expectation on yourself. I need to fall in line with theirs to make this work. So immediately there's an expectation there that completely can fall apart. And if that doesn't work, then that can create upset. It's not about expecting others or yourself to fall in line or change, but it's about working together, communicating, and making it work somehow. The actual question is, how can we make this work? And then you just have respect for that other person's values and for your own, and be in communication when things aren't quite as you want them, you know? So communication is, again, a second key aspect of dealing with broken expectations, of when someone doesn't meet your expectation. And I think those are two key things there: knowing your values and beliefs, and then being in communication about them, and listening. That's a third. I think that's another one. It's not about you doing all the talking. It's about you listening as well, and listening more than you're talking. That's important. I know there's that phrase that we all say, you've got 2 ears and you've got 1 mouth. So listen twice as much as you speak. Yeah. So the growth.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carol. I like it when you say get clear of what you expect from the other person, and maybe instead of basically using your expectations, because when we say we expect this person to be what we want them to be, that means we will start designing them to become what we are, or the things that the picture that we have in our head. And even that promotion that we didn't get, if we don't get and we expect someone to give us that promotion, when that doesn't happen, we can end up having resentment if they use it, they've not received it properly. And let go of the meaning. I like it when you say let go of the meaning of the expectations and ask for guidance. And you talk about the values as well, values and beliefs. I think it is very, very, very important to actually understand, for people to understand the people's values and beliefs. And the values and beliefs, they actually help people become who they are, who they want to be. They show us this is the person because of their beliefs, because of what they, and then when you have the knowledge of the person that you are surrounded with, then you can look at the principles. How does this person expect to be treated? Like you say, communicating is very, very important, and also listening is very, very, very important, to actually listen to someone when they speak, when they're sending you a message. And it is, it's good to be clear. It's like, when you have this group of friends, and we spoke about this, when was it, with the Dr. Bigot yesterday? And we're talking about it's good to have friends, but it's also good to respect their values and beliefs, because just because we are friends, it doesn't mean we have the same values, we have same beliefs. So it's good to accept people for who they are. And then when the expectation comes, maybe that means we're going to build a resentment, and we're going to basically, there's going to be, like, if you have you expect your man or your wife to be the person that you want them to be, And that's where you're going to be disappointed, because they're not going to become what you want them to be, but they're going to grow, they're going to support you, they're going to mentor you. And if they don't become what you expect them to be, you get disappointed. And even with a business, like I've seen it with my businesses, sometimes I get clients and they really, really want to join the agency, and they're like, I'm into this, I'm going to join. And then when it comes to the contract, they don't want to do it. They change their mind. And if I would basically expect somebody to say yes all the time, that means my expectations, I'll, I'll be living in disappointments, which I'm not, because when somebody uh, has a choice, everyone that comes into to join the agency, they have a choice of saying, okay, this is what I want to do, or they say, this is what I want to do. But also, if they pay money, they have certain days to decide to pull out and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. But if I plan everything on certain days, then they can't pull out, because they can only pull out because of certain arrangements. Let's say if someone dies, or they're sick, or there are so many things that will make sense, that if someone is in this situation and there is no point in them continuing with the dating, they need to put it on hold. In those cases, we can understand. But I have to be someone that feels comfortable when someone says no to me. Because if I'm not comfortable and I expect people to come to the agency or go to talk shows and say yes all the time, that means basically I'm going to basically, like what you were saying, that don't you have to basically let go of your expectations. So that's what I have learned, that when someone comes in and say, okay, I wanna know about the agency. My expectations basically for me is to tell them what I can do for them, the pain that I can take away from them. Is then their choice to allow me to work with them. But if they say, not sure, I don't feel I don't think I'm ready at this moment, I don't want to work with somebody who is not ready. So basically for me, I don't expect anything from a client to say yes, but all I can do is tell a client, this is what I do. This is how I can help with the pain, that I can help you to heal this pain, or I can help you to avoid getting married to the wrong person, because divorce can be very costly. So I can put my points and my cross out there and say, this is who I am, this is what I can do. It would then be up to a client to say, okay, no, sir, I want to work with you. Because I had a client a few days ago. So these clients came and joined, and then she changed her mind last minute and said, I don't think I want to join the agency, because the path where you guys are going, I don't think it is for me. So then I was like, basically she doesn't like that the agency only serve wealthy people, because Hope Springs is for successful people, individuals. So then I said to her, I can't save everyone. If people cannot afford me, they have a choice of going into a free database. If they basically, because sometimes you get people that don't want to work, they haven't got jobs, they stay at home, they are on benefits, they're not working, nothing, they've never worked in their life. So I was like, I can't take those people. But if somebody who has a case and say, no, sir, I once had a job, or during pandemic, I lost my job, and they are willing, they have goals, they have all those things, they can't afford me, I take them to my database. But there are some people basically that come to the agency because of the cost. They basically, I can't cut my price just because I need to save everyone. So I was explaining to her. But it's simply, I could be disappointed when somebody says, okay, why don't you basically serve everyone? I know, like with your right as a writing facilitator, you don't just help everyone, you have your own specific clients that you focus on. So I was like, I'm doing the same. This is the nature of the business. So she couldn't understand it, that why we do what we do. So I was like, it's okay to say no. It's okay not to be ready. And it's okay for you to take your time. So I said to her, listen, if you are not ready, you're going to try to find excuses. But what I'm going to give you a chance is you can say no. When you are ready, you know where we are. But if you feel that we are not for you, so it's like there are other agencies that are serving like us, but they charge more money, you can go to them. So I was giving this person some a few options. But if I'm somebody who is not comfortable with the no, then I'll end up saying, end up getting depressed. So over to you, Caroline.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, it's always that expectation that people are going to work with you. They have to work with you, you know.
Yeah.
And then when they say no, it's like, oh, so you sort of want to crawl away and,
Yeah, you're
and
like, what's
hide
wrong
and
with
give
me?
up.
Why are
You
you
know,
saying
it's like,
no to
yes, that's
me?
right. No. And yeah, it is that recognizing that expectation that they're going to say yes, and when they don't, there's that letdown.
Yeah.
Rather than just being a stand for, okay, yes, you'd like them to say yes, and it's up to them. At the end of the day, as you said, all you can do is share with them
Yeah.
the benefits of working with you and what they'll get, what's the transformation, what will happen, and how it works, you know, how you do it, which can be different to somebody else. And then it's up to them to decide. But it's also listening for what it is they're wanting, so that you can actually at least speak in their language, speak into their world, which can actually help to shift someone who's not quite sure into saying yes. But it's again, it's not having that expectation that they have to say yes. It's just getting into their world, understanding where they're at, what it is they want. Can you actually really help them? Are they a good fit for you? Because as you said, maybe then they're not. So being able to then let go and suggest, well, maybe they go somewhere else, you know, and if they decide not to work with you, okay. Because I love that saying that says, well, for, you know, every no you have, that's one more step closer to the yes. So it is about getting all the no's, because the more no's you get, then there has to be a yes at the end of it. So again, watch those expectations. And if you do start putting that expectation there, there's an energy that will push that person away, because they will feel it. They'll feel pressured to work with you. And I know if I feel that pressure from somebody that's like, no, you've got to work with me, I'm gone. I'm just gone, you know, because I like to feel that connection. I like to feel it's my choice and that it's honored and respected. And I feel that there is that respect and honor, and I can then go make my own mind up. And I can just then go, okay, it's what I feel. So people will feel that energy and it will push them away. So recognize that the impact that you having expectations has on a conversation, on a potential client, or even on anything that you maybe have been asking the universe for. That expectation is going to happen. Again, it's not going to necessarily happen. And it probably won't happen in the way that you think it should. Because putting up the prayer of what it is you want is great. Asking for something. But then it's being open into the way it gets delivered. And being open to, oh my goodness, wow, I hadn't thought about it coming in this form, you know. And so certainly recognize that those situations. And there's something that popped into my head as you were talking. A lot of people do a lot of personal development courses, or they'll go on courses to help them with their business, and they'll come away and go, oh, that was a waste of time, because they have an expectation of what they're going to get from it, rather than being open. Set an intention, but being open to actually, I will get something from this. I don't know what, but I will. And I know that sometimes when I'm sitting on a course and I'm going, not sure what I'm getting from this, it's like, okay, stay open. Just stay open. And then I'll hear something and go, oh my goodness, just what I needed to hear. And it just opens up a whole different way of thinking, gives you another idea. And that in itself is gold dust. But you have to stay open. And I don't believe that any course that you go on is a waste of time, because there is always something that you can learn, even if you've done it before. And there are some courses that I've done several times, and each time I learn something new. I go a bit deeper into what it was I was looking at last time, or I find myself going in a slightly different direction. Something else opens up. And so it is about being open and not having that expectation of, well, ooh, getting all over the place and pulling your ears out. Because at the end of the day, you're the only one that it's going to hurt. It's not going to hurt somebody else, because you're the one that feels sad. You're the one that feels upset. You're the one that feels angry. And guess whose health is then going to be impacted because of it? It's only yours. So again, you have that choice to stay open and to let go. Let it go. Acknowledge the disappointment. Acknowledge, well, this isn't quite what I was thinking it would be. And that's okay to say that, well, this course isn't what I thought it would be. And maybe have that conversation. Well, what were you expecting that had it not be what you thought it was going to be? What did you read about it? And what's actually being delivered? And go and have a conversation and say, well, look, this is what I read. This is how I understood it to be, is what I was going to get. But I'm not hearing the connection from what you're delivering. Now, maybe there is no connection. Maybe it is way offbeat. In which case you can say, well, okay, again, there's another lesson there for you to learn. Are you putting out descriptions about your work that when you actually deliver it, it's no connection? And people are going, this isn't right. This doesn't work for me. You know, so again, there's still a lesson there to learn. But again, have a conversation with the person that's delivering it. And get clear. And maybe what they are delivering is connected with what they've said the course is about, but somehow the communication isn't that clear. You haven't grasped it. So again, it's having communication, it's having a conversation, but without making the other person wrong. Saying, you're not doing this right. You know, you said you're going to do this and you haven't. It's saying, look, this is what I heard you to say I would be getting, and this is what I'm hearing you deliver. For me, it doesn't match. Can you help me? Can you hear the difference in there? You're taking responsibility for what you're learning, for your position in this. as well as saying, well, look, this is how I've taken it to be. But letting them know, because unless you let them know, they've got absolutely no idea. Their expectation is that you'll totally get what they're talking about, and if you don't, when it's your fault. They won't have a clue that there's been some miscommunication from them. Words or phrasing that maybe you don't quite get. It's not in your language or way you talk, because sometimes that can happen. And again, it comes down to that understanding. So you'll be helping them to realize that their expectations were offbeat. So just, I keep coming back to stay open, listen, communicate, listen to your language, listen to their language, and notice where there is expectations, because I think that can be quite subtle. That the expectation, oh, there was an expectation there, didn't realize that. So yeah, just recognize them, bless them, say thank you, let them go, and then appreciate what you have got, what is there. And it is about prioritizing appreciation over expectations. What has happened here? Appreciate the lesson, appreciate the learning, appreciate the opportunity, rather than what was expected and what the disappointment was. Because I've got a lovely quote here. Mark Chernoff says, "Those who complain the most accomplish the least." So it ties in what I was saying earlier. You're not going anywhere. You're not getting anything done by continually complaining. So appreciate what's happened, appreciate the learning, and say, right, okay, let's move on. Because then how much more could you get done? It's an interesting question. How much more productive could you be? And Tony Robbins actually says, turn your expectations into appreciation and your whole life will change. A simple phrase there, very true. And in its simplicity, it's powerful. And it's not easy. It's not easy. What do you think, Namsa?
Carol Ann, I'm with you, because at the end of the day, we have our own expectations that we believe that when we go to a course, if we already know what we are looking for in the first place, why are we there? So we are there because we are looking for the knowledge that we don't know. So what you're saying, basically, I have experienced myself where I go to a personal development course, or like Andy Harrington's business events. I go and I'm taking, because sometimes he allows people to take the videos and he will make it clear that don't put them on social media if you want to take a video. So me, basically, I always go with my phone. I empty my phone. I take, when he speaks, whatever he's doing, his PowerPoints, I take the videos. So when I get home, I can implement what I've learned. So I would just go to a business event. I'm busy writing, because I'm going in with a positive attitude. I'm writing everything. And then on our break, someone will come in and say, that wasn't what I expected. So I'm thinking, what did you expect? So I'm like, but the free learning is good. So maybe if you want to get more of it, you can go and pay. But you'll find that when you actually go without expectations, because you know that you are looking for knowledge, the information that these people have, you don't have it yourself. So you can go there. I basically build my business by having a coach. And when I'm hearing the speakers speak, I'll go and ask whatever the advice that these speakers are saying or they've spoken about, I'm going to ask my coach and say, can we do this? Can we do this? Because at the end of the day, when you go to a course, that person is giving you a free time. There's no charge to you. You have a choice to pay for VIP, but VIP is mostly to get them one-on-one and have some food. So if you have a choice for somebody, they give you a choice that I'm going to spend the whole day giving you my knowledge for free. And for me, I think I have to be grateful for that. It cannot get better than that when somebody has an event for free and they are teaching you this is how, somehow there's a useful information there. So they wouldn't be teaching if the information wasn't useful. So so when they teach, so all you can do is your expectations, get rid of your expectations and get rid of I know it all and just listen like what you were saying. Just listen and take notes. And when you do take notes, it's like when Tony Robbins is a coach, what he was saying when I listened to his talk on YouTube, he says, when you go to a business event or when you go to church, you've got to have a Bible, you've got to have a pen, you've got to have a paper so you can write down the information. And he says he became who he became because of taking notes. And they said people used to question him as well and say, that is a whole lot of notes that you write. For me, basically, I take notes on my phone using a video, and when I get home, because I need a space on my phone will be full. I put it on social media, but private, it only can be accessed by me. So when I need it, I just go back on the videos, what I've learned, I just implement it. I've set up my business and all my social media. But just by going, it saves me money as well. Just by going to business events, free business events, although Des said to me, don't pay when you go to a business event because it becomes an obsession. Because these people, they are so good. These speakers, when they are so good, you go to a business event tomorrow and tomorrow, day after tomorrow, and you'll be buying courses because you'll be like wanting more and more. And it was like you get so obsessed. So don't buy any courses. Just go to a business event. You just listen to the information and then go home. If you feel that, yes, you do need to pay, go back again and listen to what is being said as well and see whether you cannot get this information. It was like people get obsessed, you end up spending thousands and thousands. And when I asked one of the girls, and she was like, I spent 60 grand for courses, and I was like, what? That is an obsession. And he was like, tell me about it. Some of them have never completed them. So I agree with you, Carol Ann, when you say when a client comes to you or when someone comes to you, you have to enter their world, like Tony Robbins says, and relate to them, connect. Connection is very, very, very important. I have a client actually that came to me and I told her to stop paying money to the agencies because she feels that she has to register more than the agencies. And she said to me, Nomisa, if I actually register with you for free, you're not going to prioritize. And I said to her, listen, women within the agency, to me, they are free. So every person that comes, I'm going to prioritize them as long you have the character that I'm looking for and you have the everything that I'm looking for. So I'm going to prioritize you. So I said to her, try not to spend lots of money. Try to find the agencies that allows you to join for free, because she has spent lots of money, the poor girl, and sometimes the agencies, they even said that because when they don't have clients, sometimes the agencies, she said there was a time where someone came in and they were looking at the clock and it was like, but you're on a date, you're looking for the clock. And she was like, I felt that they were just because for the numbers, you can pay for a matchmaker to give you 6 dates. So I said to her, can you stop paying? Maybe try to go and register to genuine agencies for free and see how it goes. So every time she took my advice, every time she sees an agency, she'll email me and say, do you know this agency? They take women for free. I'm like, yeah, I know them. I've read about them. And some of their matchmakers were in the group with them. So yeah, sure, I know them. Because it's just, sometimes you have to be patient. And when you have money, it doesn't mean you have to use it, because joining a matchmaker is a lot of money. So I said to her, just take your time and connect with people properly, because when you give money and they do the work, people do the work very quickly, you're not connecting with people. Try to find the agencies where you can actually have intimacy, connect with them so they can understand what you are looking for. Like what you were saying, Carol Ann, that is all about appreciation and gratitude. And I had to explain to her that when you come to me, I can't promise you that I'm going to give you what you're looking for. But all I can promise you that I prioritize everyone. Everyone to me, as long as I accept you, that means you are my priority. You become my priority. The moment I ask you to join, and I accept you. So she had to understand. But then I read another agency yesterday that was saying what she was saying, that if you join for free, we're not going to prioritize you. Basically, they've written it in big words that you are not a priority. So I was like, okay, now I understand what she's saying. But at the same time, Carol, I'm with you when you say you have to connect and you have to understand that everyone has a choice. Over to you.
Yes, and that's very true. Everyone does have a choice. And it is about taking back your power.
Yeah.
And reclaiming that and saying, oh, I have a choice here.
Yeah.
And certainly, I love what you said about get rid of I know it all. Rephrase that and say, okay, I know a lot of things, but you don't know it all.
Yeah.
As soon as you say, I know it all, boom, you've closed the door. You've completely closed the door on hearing anything else that might be said. And so you certainly don't know it all at a conscious level. Everything is within us, but there is that recognizing, what is it I'm not conscious of? What is it I don't know right now? And so maybe just rephrasing it. And it's the same as when people have said, oh, I've tried everything. So immediately they've stopped the possibility of there being something else that they could try that could actually help them. Because no, you've not tried everything. You've tried a lot of things. That then opens the door for something else to show up. Because it's acknowledging that you have tried a lot of things. So there's that appreciation, there's that acknowledgement of what you have done. It's also allowing for the possibility that there's something that you actually didn't know anything about. And it allows for that to then become known to you. Because once you can acknowledge that and start asking the question, okay, so I've tried a lot of things, and I wonder what else there might be that I could try that I've not heard about, that I don't know of right now. And you'd be amazed at what you might suddenly find yourself reading, who you might find yourself talking to, or a conversation that suddenly opens up. Because you're ready then to try something else, to have a go with something else, to listen to new information. And everything seems to build on what you already know. And we don't all have the same journey. So it's also recognizing that you might have learnt things in one order. Someone else will go in a different order. Or they might not need to learn everything that you've learned. And I remember when I first started training in educational kinesiology, the first course is the Brain Gym course, which is a 4-day course. I did it over 2 weekends. And then they did have their training track of different courses to do to become an educational kinesiologist, which I wasn't actually clear about at the time what the set pattern was. I just found myself doing this course after this course after this course after this course, you know. And a few years later, they started putting it into a different order. So, well, no, people really ought to be doing it in this order. And I'm thinking, I'm so glad I did it, because the way I did it was right for me, you know. And it's recognizing that you do have your own way of receiving information, of working with something, and courses will show up at the right time. But each one will feed and build on the next. And some of the courses I've repeated because, yes, I did them. Then I did another one, and I was like, oh, I need to repeat that one. And that's okay, because again, you deepen in your understanding in the light of new knowledge that you've got, and things that will have opened up for you, other healings that will have happened. And we always, you know, our perspective changes. The way we hear things, the way we see something. So again, you do a course again, you repeat it. You may find yourself saying, well, they never told me that last time. They probably did say, but they may have said it slightly differently. And also you might not even have heard it because you weren't in a place to have heard it. And that's worth remembering, that, you know, you change. Things change. Nothing stays the same. And that's another big downfall. An expectation that everything will stay the same. We have this need for comfort to say, no, there's our comfort zone. It's like nothing can change. And for me, I know I get a bit, oh no, I have to have it, keep it the same. And when something then changes, I can feel myself going, oh no, I don't like this. And I want to pull it back in to be the same, you know? So there is an underlying expectation. Things can't change. It has to stay the same. Well, things do change. And I love the book, Who Moved My Cheese? That is a fantastic book. It's a very small book, very thin, but really powerful in its message. And they talk about anticipating change, expect change. I've got some of the things written on a piece of paper here. It's starting to fade because it's been on for so long. I think I need to go over it again. But it is about how you react. Who are you being when change happens? And in this story, the cheese keeps getting moved. And there are those that stay where they are, and there are those that will go out and explore and are willing to find out what's happened, what's changing. And so go read the book to see what happens. Who do you think actually survives, you know, in there? It's a great little book to read, but it certainly brings home to you, if you've got that expectation that things cannot change, they mustn't change in order for you to survive, then again, hear that expectation, hear that place where there could be disappointment, and recognize, well, actually nothing stays the same. Nothing. And embrace change, welcome change, and stay open to change happening, whether it be within a relationship. And it doesn't mean when I say that the relationship is falling apart. It could just be how you are with one another changes. How you work together changes. What you do, something changes. Because otherwise it just stagnates. And stagnation is where death is. There's nothing living, there's nothing growing. So there has to be change. There has to be movement. Something fresh happening to bring life and growth back into it again. So do recognize that change happens, and recognize where you have these subtle underlying expectations that something must be this way. Because can you feel that tension in there? It's like, breathe on it and say, thank you. Let it go. And when you've let it go, can you feel the difference, the movement that can happen within you, within your body, within your life, within your relationships? So just recognize expectation, let it go. So thank you for this conversation, Nomsa, and this topic. It's really
Thank you so
great
much,
to explore.
Anne. Thank you so much. For me, basically, I would just say, turn your broken expectations into blessings, because it is a blessing. We are learning from no, we're growing. When someone says no, we grow, and when we don't get things that we want, we grow to basically climb the mountain. And expectations, basically, when they are broken, it means there is a mountain that you need to go through and climb it. You can't go around it or on the side. You can only go through it and see what's on the other side. And you have a choice, like Carol Anna was saying, to overrule. For me, basically, I call it a court case, a negative court case, to overrule that court case when someone says no. You have words are very, very powerful. You can use words to actually learn and empower yourself and be the person that you want. When someone says no, when you apply for a job or relationship, you can say, you can overrule and say, no, I am enough for me. Work on yourself. If someone says, oh, you are not enough or the job, you are not enough for the job, overrule it by learning more. Confidence. Maybe you went in without confidence. So work on your confidence and believe in yourself. Like Carol Anna was saying, work on your beliefs. Your beliefs is basically, you have to, they're important, your values are important. So we are here Monday to Friday at Ngozi Talk Shows. Please, if you need to get in touch with any of our coaches, please do get in touch. And through the page or through all our social media. And we are here 1 p.m. UK time. So please subscribe to our channel as well. God bless and live with grace.